So I'm doing some more investigation into um, the the people behind or who oversaw the scam of my father through Chase. And so this is the guy's name, right? He's got a Facebook account with no images, but clearly he has ties to Ghana. And Ghana, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these names were associated with the actual scam and receivers of monies from my father's account. However, my goal is not to go after the scammers. Let Chase go after the scammers to get their money back. See what I'm saying? They're, they're basically saying, yeah, it's just tough to get your money back from the scammers. We knew your father was being scammed over 7 years, and we allowed, and I'll show you who they allowed to facilitate this scam. Okay, all right. Occupy. Okay, let me give you this one. These are names right here that I believe are involved in the scam. The first two, Kevin Maramble and Richard Onkubaya, or whatever his name is. Those two were directly, the first one, I need to go backward. Okay. I don't want to go to his Facebook. I want to go to his LinkedIn. So I want Richard. Okay. So this is the culprit. Okay. This is the hotshot banker at JP Morgan Chase in Inglewood. I think their address is 30 or 25 Grand Avenue. Okay. So if you look at his experiences, and this is what I found interesting, because I always had a question of whether this guy was at the branch during the time when the scam began. Look at this. This is when oh my god. When this guy Richard came to the branch, he was a banker. Okay? So my father used to go in and sit down and do his transactions with this guy. And my father is a talker. So, I wouldn't be shocked that he shared a bunch of personal information. He thinks everybody's his friend. He was 80 years old at this time, you know, and sometimes when we go out, he's talking to people. I'm like, you don't know these people? Why are you talking? Anyway, so he was the banker, not the branch manager, but he was This is small business specialist. My father had his business account at this branch. This date is really significant. March, if I click on that again, March 2010, right? He was there for a year and 2 months, and then he disappeared to another branch for a few years, right? Now these are years that this scam is in full effect, but he's getting away. I'm just coming up with my theory of what happened. He was there to initiate and set up the scam with my dad. He was there at the branch the same year the scam started. And this is what is key. He's from Accra, Ghana, a well-to-do family in Accra, Ghana, and he's there almost a month. Let's see if I could find Chase Wires. Let's see if I could find the early. Okay. So IRA. Okay. Look at this. February 3rd, 2010. A month before he shows up. A month before he shows up. He might have even been in training. It seems like there's some, oh yeah. So he might have even been in training there. A month before a month before he shows up. There's a wire transfer for $41,000. Money came in. My father transferred $47,000 into from his Morgan Stanley IRA account, and $41,000 goes out. And then almost to the dollar, right? Notice how these numbers are to the dollar almost. Okay, so 41,600 goes out to Accra, Ghana, right? And then the next day, 4,500 goes out to Accra, Ghana, right? Kevin spelled wrong. But 47,000 went into the account almost a day or so before. So I see this pattern over and over. Here's another pattern. 35,000 coming into his account, 30,000 going out right away, and I bet you there's another small amount. I just don't have the bank statement to go out to relieve my dad of the additional 5,000. And this guy, Kevin, that Richard banker from Ghana set him up with a account at Chase. And they drafted some BS joint venture papers, documents that I have. So, I mean, my last video pretty much shows these wire transfers, and I'm gonna look this name up here. Nana. Like, if you looked at the information that's left out of these, or if the wire transfer went to the same person in the same day, you can see them changing the SSN number so to avoid suspicion. This is Nana, like his aunt, his aunt, his relative. I'm just guessing. So let me not digress. So you've got you've got this guy showing up conveniently a month after the first wire transfer takes place. But I believe that he's there at the branch. He's just not officially, he's there in some capacity at the time that that first wire transfer goes over. But what's the probability of my dad getting involved in a African gold, a Ghanaian gold scheme, right? A month to the date before this banker, this he becomes the banker of my dad. Now, I truly believe he's there already, and like even my resume dates, they're not exact. They're kind of a guesstimation, but he's close. I appreciate that you're there in March, but you were there in February. So when you came to the branch, that's when the money started going to Ghana. And you're from the town that the money went to. So then he disappears about a year later. But but if you look at the spreadsheet, I mean, there's 2010. We're in it. We're in it. This is full fledged. 2010, 2010, 2010. Ghana transfer. 2010. We're I mean 2011. I meant. And this is not the full spreadsheet. I got to find the full spreadsheet. I don't know why I'm still keeping that. I have a full spreadsheet with over $1.2 million coming out of Chase from 2010 to 2016. But so then, after all the money's gone, which about 2017 ish is when he told my sister. I have to double check that. 2016 or 2017, he told my sister that he knew my father was involved in a scam and that there's no money in one of the, there's probably about 6 Chase accounts that I need someone to do a forensic accounting on. And I think you'll find a lot more money than I'm showing. I just have about 60% of the bank statements. So this is the other connection to who we believe is possibly his sister. She's a hotshot lawyer in Ghana who dates men for money, evidently. See, they react to the earth tremors which occurred in parts of Accra. They're from Accra. So he's sending money to a bank that he probably has an account in, or at least his sister has an account in. It must be, I mean, how many banks are in Accra, Ghana? I mean, that don't have any of his relatives' accounts in them. See, Ghana. So, this is her. Raised in Accra, Ghana, Sandra is a Ghanaian lawyer, TV host, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. I doubt that, well, they must be doing the Peter Pan thing, robbing from the rich and giving to the poor, because, um, and obviously she's from a well to do family. She's gone to the Ghana School of Law. You know, she's getting her degree from the University of Buckingham. So maybe from 2010 to 2012, they paid for her law school by scamming my dad. Here's another article I saw. It's almost the same one I talked about. Now, this is back to Richard's background, right? He's got his MBA locally from Fairleigh Dickinson, right? MBA, multi-site private client senior branch manager at Chase. Multi-site. So I'm just making the case that he was there, and he's documented to be there a year after the first transfer happened. And that could just be a slick way to be kind of like, well, I wasn't here, when it happened. You can't blame me. I came here a week later, almost like Santos leaving a business that was a Ponzi scheme, but he left a month before the feds came down, so he's not a subject. Give me a break. Give me a break. All right. So this is him. The district attorney in Africa. You gotta be crazy. You're not getting anything out of them. I did call the district attorney general in New Jersey to put a complaint in. I've called the FBI, and doesn't seem to be of any urgency, although they were very interested in the case. The attorney general couldn't believe what I was telling him. He was first going to transfer me to someone else, and then when I continued to talk to him about what happened, he was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not even going to transfer this. I want you to send me all the information. No, I want you to send me just what you told me. Don't send me any supporting documents, and I'm going to send this to various department heads in my office and see what we can do. So that's about it. Wealth management. Are you effing kidding me? He's a wealth manager? What, for himself? So look, okay, so you gotta be kidding. So here's the thing. Now that they're throwing these titles out, if he's supposed to be a wealth manager, he just can't. I know one way to end that. He just can't then say, I'm the wealth manager, private banker, but I didn't owe your father any fiduciary responsibility when I knew that my cousins were scamming him into sending money to Ghana. You can't have it both ways. You can't be the wealth manager. Wealth manager and the customer have a real intimate relationship and a really strong fiduciary responsibility. He wasn't just a random banker there. He was basically my dad's banker. He was a senior banker there. And all the other people that you'll see the wire transfers processed through, they worked for him. And they had to get approval from him to have those wires go out. And he's now still at JP Morgan Chase. It's interesting. It's been, how is it 15 years? When he was in 2020, total of 15 years. So he's been with JP Morgan Chase for 15 years and 4 months. He's now, and this changed because I thought he was in New Milford. So this is what he's reporting. He was in New Milford before he went to Montclair. So what he didn't report is from July, from when he left Inglewood, the records showed that he was, maybe still because he's multi-site, he was in New Milford, which is not too far away, and now he's in Montclair, probably closer where, he probably lives. A bunch of rich people there. So I'm not even going to give them the dignity to read his bio, but all this multi-branch stuff, he's, in my opinion, he told my dad that he would call the scammers on his behalf. And I found that very strange. Oh, yeah, I found that very strange. And the last thing I found very strange is in 2014, these are all wire transfers, by the way, that I scanned. Audit letter. See this date? September 17th, 2014. All of my father's accounts. And actually, I can give you the accounts. Unless they don't show them. I have a feeling that all of his accounts are under audit. Okay? There's 4 letters sent. I believe I have the 4. Chase. I have more than this. I don't think this may be the same one, but there's 4 or 5 letters sent. This is my mom and dad. So, and this is the house that we lost. This is the primary residence that my mother died stressed out about losing. She dies at 84, stressed after building wealth with my dad that could have paid for the house 10 times over. Her husband's scammed, and now we're literally in foreclosure. When my mom passes, my dad's kind of just lying to her about the bank coming down and foreclosure dates. My mom died in 2018, and in 2019 we lost the house to foreclosure. So, getting back to my point, In 2014, Mr. Ghanaian branch manager, multi-site scammer, tells my dad that he can no longer wire transfer money out of his account, and he doesn't give a reason. And you will not see any 2014 transactions. But in 2015, and I don't have the whole, I'm not going to find it right now, but let's do Chase. Chase wires new. Let's oh, let's see if I can find it. Chase wires new. Chase wires new. But I'm seeing that it's a XSB, almost like it's missing. It's missing something. Oh, oh, okay. See 2010, 12, 13, 16. You're gonna see not a transaction in 2014. And then once the subpoena or audit was up, now what I'm shocked at is that they did the audit and they saw all this money going to Africa and no one said anything. See this? No 2014s. I have bank statements from Bank of America where money was going out from 2014 to 2015. At some point in 2015, he was told he could start using the Chase account to wire out. Now that's a whole, let's say, year and a half that they had time to get my dad help, or, and what were they auditing? Like, if you saw all this illegal activity and you knew this was a scam, how do you, in good conscience, never mind legally, allow this type of money? You could see to the right what type of money we're talking about. I mean, this is almost daily or every other day. These monies are going out. 15,000. Look at this. 15,000 to you know what? This name looks familiar. That last ADU, that name looks familiar. That name. So now I don't want to say anything about the guy's lifestyle, but I could see if it was an extravagant lifestyle that by him scamming others, he could send people money and get favors. I saw that name. Was it with the sister? All right, I thought I saw that name. Let's see right here. It's not exactly the name, but you know they changed names around, so um, I don't put it past. Anyway, it's not important. I'm getting into this too deeply. But what's important is I think I have a final tally over here. Okay, there we go. This is the number I came up with, and I don't have all of the wire transfers. I think I did a breakdown, and I'm missing like 35 between these years, between 2010 and 2016. I think I had like 65 wire transfer statements, and I was missing 35. So I just kind of, roughly said, well, this must be 2/3 of what I'm going to find. So if you add another 30%, you're probably talking about $1.6 million ish. And that these may not be all of the accounts. My father had many accounts. This 4444 was a major one, but these are account numbers here. So he's got this account number, this account number, this account number. So I can't, there needs to be a forensic accounting on my father's accounts, and then everything will come up. It'll all come. It's all documented. So that's kind of all I wanted to. I just wanted to establish that the banker has ties to Ghana, but probably grew up in Ghana along with his sister. And I mean, there's a chance that they're not related, but I'm not going for it. They're related. Wait, that's how we tracked it. And let me just go up so you can see. Um, Gotta look at these numbers more closely. 35,000. I thought I had seen a 65,000 at some point, but I mean, look at these 20,000, 35,000. I mean, this is wealth accumulated with my mom. My mom was a housewife, working hard, and then towards the end of her life was living with the house not being paid off, um, no repairs being done. He wasn't paying the taxes. He was so fooled by this scam that it was almost like no one could tell, even family talking to him. If you brought it up, he would say nothing. He would give you a stare like he was disgusted. Like, you know, they basically turn turn you against your family so that they don't have to worry about. And then they come up with all kinds of sob stories. It's absolutely amazing. You know, one sob story like after the next. The goal was under the seat of the plane, left under the seat of the plane by mistake. We were on our way to JFK to deliver your goal. Like all kinds of weird. The insurance for the goal ran out. Like again, like over and over. Insurance ran out. Sure, and my father just kept sending them money, almost like there's a little bit of senility going on, or he's just easily fooled, or a combination of both. Because his mother, my grandmother, died um, with Alzheimer's, a very bad case. He's high functioning, but nobody, if you look at this, there's clearly some issues here with being so free to send this type of money abroad as if it's nothing. And the bankers supervise the whole thing. Let me just go back to who we're looking at. That's Facebook. That's the sister. I was trying to see if they were friends with each other to really make the connection, but I think they're too smart to make those connections. But I'm sure there's a connection. So they're related somewhere, but that's neither here nor there. He represented Chase for 15 years, and for 6 to 7 years of the 15, he facilitated a scam against my dad, if not precipitated, because my dad is not a public figure. So how does anyone know that my dad has money unless a month before this guy shows up at the branch, that word has leaked? He clearly had ties to the Inglewood branch, that his information was leaked out to scammers, and then he can be hands off, but just through the branch facilitate any funny business going out of the account. He could oversee it. You know what he had the nerve to do? I had a client who I believe is also involved in the scam, and that client gave me a $4,800 check for real estate commission for placing him. This guy was a long time client of mine. And what I find, I'm rambling a bit, but it's kind of all important. I might have to make this video over again. But what I find interesting is this guy told me, Randy Sutton. I think he's probably wanted by the cops, because on Thanksgiving, I think I saw him for the first time, and the cops were right behind me, looks like they were looking at their phone, headed to him, and I was like, this is a bad time to punch him in his face. So I didn't do anything. But he told me he had a business partner named Kingsley Anku, ANCU, and he wanted to rent the $5,000 rental under his wife's name, and this guy Kingsley Anku. And I said, I'm fine with that as long as I get to meet this Kingsley beforehand. And we were supposed to meet. It ultimately never happened. And then Anku, and then I'm like, Richard Anku Baya, is this the same Anku, and all they did is he going by another alias? Now that this is happening in 2014, so we're already being scammed. So I think there's a connection between this guy, Randy Sutton, Kevin Baramble. Hold on a second. I made a spread. There we go. I'll let you see it. Okay. So I think you're going to find a relationship between Kevin Baramble, who moved into my father's luxury condo that we were selling to to make to in 2010. Oh, moved into my dad's townhouse that I was marketing, and my dad told me to take it off the market, and he didn't tell me why, and he moved this bum in. I got to meet him years later. He's making gold deals over the phone, and you'll find a relationship between him and this Richard Uncle Baya. Ada E. Williams is a check that these two gave me to cover their rent, to cover the real estate commission. And the name on that check was Ada E. Williams. That check bounced for 4,800. It didn't bounce. It went through. And 3 months later, Richard strong arms my dad and tells him that check for $4,800 was a bad check. And if you don't replace it with cash, I'm going to fire the teller that processed it, even though he approved it. They had to get approval for that check. And then 3 years later, this is the alias for this Asia Jones and Dream Writer. They write a check and stiff my father for $40,000. And the name on the check, the name on the check was Ada E. The name that this person gave to buy the property in was Ada E. Williams. Unrelated, like these are totally different time periods, but they probably slipped up and think I didn't know. When I saw a check for Ada E. Williams, and I saw a correspondence from an attorney about the property that we lost our deposit in, and I saw that she was using Ada E. Williams, that's when I'm saying these are all part of a scam network. They're all related. And I'm guarantee you somehow this guy is related back to the original guy that created the gold scam, who's now serving time, I believe, in Kentucky. He's in prison now. An African dude that took pictures of Liberian gold and then started sending them out in the States behind a scam to get people money to get this gold out of the country. And then if you can help me, if you can only help me get this gold out of the country, I will reward you, handsomely, but you got to keep it quiet, keep it on the hush. And there goes, and that's when you get senior citizens to keep things on the hush, that have money, senior citizens that have money, when they are hiding things from their families, that's how these scammers get to do what they do. I do have the letter that I sent to the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And it just Maybe I missed a step because it was, if we didn't agree, it was supposed to go into mediation. But I gave, and Chase said they didn't have the documents past 2015. I provided them with everything. I'm like, I got them. 2010. I have 2010 to 2016 here. So let me show you one other thing and call it a night. Here, Chase. In Chase's response, they send this. They send this. They send a, I don't know if they sent a letter or what. Notice how Citibank is also involved in this. I'm just seeing this. These are the wire transfers that they recalled. They call it recall. Please contact for home harmless letter request. Don't know what that is. These are, I believe there's another page, but these are some of the wires. So they've admitted guilt. Their remedy is to recall the transaction from a bank in Africa. Like that's the plan. Like, that's all we can do for you, Mr. Joseph. And we haven't heard back anything, not one. Like, tell us, oh, we can credit one or two, but the rest is long gone. But look, I'm not interested in they can recall whatever they want. If it's proven, which I hope I just did, that it's an inside job and the banker was there almost the same month, within a month of the scam starting, the banker was there to make sure there was a blind eye, because when those unusual transactions were being processed. Because if you look at the wire transfers, there's different bankers that have to sign off on that paperwork, but the branch manager ultimately will approve that the wire or not. So he's there conveniently. I don't think it's an accident that he's there, and within a month the scam starts. So right there, we've got the fact that he's from Accra, Ghana. 90% of the money went to Accra, Ghana. You said you knew it was a scam. You said you offered to call the scammers on my father's behalf, which is not a thing. It's not a service that Chase should be providing. Chase is supposed to call the authorities when they think there's a money laundering or some kind of scam like that. But he'd be calling the authorities on himself or his cousins. I believe he's on this receiving end of these monies in Ghana, or he just made sure his friends got it or his family got it. Those names are probably not real. As I said, I don't really care about the details of it. I believe Chase violated their own banking laws. At minimum, there's elder care laws that they violated. Never mind the fact that he's a veteran of the Army, the U.S. Army, and and there's just so many different unsavory activities, and it's just ironic that I did see that there was an article about Jeffrey Epstein. I believe it was. I don't know if I put it here. No, it's an article about Jeffrey Epstein. WhatsApp. No, hold on. WhatsApp's going to show up, but here we go. Look at this. U.S. Virgin Islands alleged J.P. Morgan Chase knowingly turned a blind eye to Jeffrey Epstein's sex crimes in federal lawsuit. So they this is their thing. Um, Clearly, they turn a blind eye to allow, and it looks like they benefited financially. That's why they didn't come forward with unusual activities. I guess they were supposed to um, produce records and they refused to. And then I don't know. I read anyway. They keep popping up on either lawsuits related to discrimination and discriminatory practices, um, uh, supporting the slave trade by giving collateralized loans on slaves. Like they seem to be all they can be. Um, so I'm gonna stop the video at this point and let me know if I can help further. Thanks.